I want you to normalize your toddler having a tantrum where they're screaming and crying and see that as a good thing instead of seeing it as something that you need to fix. You do not need to ignore your toddler's tantrums, and you also don't need to make it your job to stop their tantrums and to get them not to be screaming, crying, or having these huge feelings. Here's the shift I want you to make. Your job isn't to prevent your toddler from screaming and crying. You're constantly trying to say the perfect things or walk around on eggshells or tiptoe around or, do the exact right thing to get them not to scream and cry or to stop having their tantrum. I'm sorry, it's going to make your life way harder, right? Like yesterday, my 3-year-old at dinner didn't want to eat the lasagna that we had for dinner that my husband made, and he cried about it, right? He was like, no, I don't like this. I don't like lasagna. I don't want it. And he went into like a full-blown meltdown tantrum situation about it. Would have been really frustrating for me to try and validate his feelings or hold space for him or comfort him or say the exact right thing to get him to stop crying, because in that moment he needed to cry to get his feelings out. That's what his body was needing. And my only job inside of a tantrum is to, 1, hold the boundaries to keep everybody safe, and 2, give my kids the space to co-regulate by staying calm myself. You don't need to ignore a tantrum. You don't need to shame your kids. You don't need to, I didn't need to send him to timeout. Stop being rude about dinner. You can go sit in timeout if you're going to cry about what we're having, right? That's not going to help anything. He's allowed to have his feelings. If you can practice reminding yourself, it's not my job to fix their feelings here, how they're going to actually calm down, right? That's how they're going to learn emotional regulation, which is what you want your toddler to learn as they're going from like 1 up through the age of 7. I wasn't worried about saying the right thing with my 3-year-old yesterday. I simply reminded him of the boundary. This is what we're having for dinner right now. You can eat it or you don't have to. And I let him have his feelings, and I validated his feelings, and I gave him a hug when he was ready for it, and I stayed there, and I was this calm, grounded energy that he could absorb into his body. But I wasn't worried about trying to get him to stop screaming or crying or anything like that, because that's not my job in the moment. And that's not your job in the moment either, right? And ironically, through making that not your job is how you actually teach the skills so that your toddlers have less tantrums and meltdowns over time on their own. If you want to know exactly what I did, like super in depth, and the things that I do say during a tantrum that can help in the moment and preventing them, that's exactly what I teach in my Toddler Tantrums Guide.